The topic is a very interesting topic, strategies to survive difficult economic times, especially so that we are actually going through one now. And in most cases, you will find out that a tough economy does not always spell bad news for the businesses, isn't it? However, the strategies you need for surviving tough business economies are not dissimilar from the business as usual. And therefore, the only difference that is there now is that you need to apply them with a laser sharp focus because the environment has changed. And in good times, you'll find out that most entrepreneurs actually tend to loosen on the reins in terms of how they look at their cash flows, because their cash flows are solid. And also the profits are usually on track. However, there are some key business strategies that you need, especially so when you are facing hard economic situations such as these ones, if at all you are to keep yourself afloat. Why would we say you need this? Well, when we compare what I call small to growing businesses with large corporates, you will note that actually the small to growing businesses, when the sales are decreasing, they are impacted more. They are more vulnerable compared to the large corporates, because the large corporates will have had the reserves. And because of the reserves they have, it's easier for them to weather the bad economic position. And that's why it's important that we discuss this. If you look at COVID-19, actually, you will realize that as opposed to any other depressions that or economic downturn that we have had in the past, COVID has actually attacked the real economy. What do I mean by this? Well, you see that definitely it has affected the production, it has affected purchases, it has affected the flow of goods and services. And because of that, it requires us to actually initiate certain initiatives which will make it easier for a business to survive. And now if you look at if you look at the table of contents or the agenda that we have there, I've picked a theme that says my business will thrive even in tough times. But how can my business thrive even in tough times? So we need to look at how we can protect our cash flows, how to get clear on your destination, how to focus on core competencies, how you can actually examine your delivery, your distribution strategy, and how you can make the most of current customers, but also building a marketing system that will make you win new customers. And finally, we'll look at how we can ensure to have a winning leverage. Now, if you look at how you can protect the cash flow, we know without any doubt that cash flow is important for any business. The inflows and outflows of funds in the business are actually, they are the ones that keep our businesses healthy. And therefore, our goal in most cases as a business person is that you need to ensure that you gain more income and you reduce more on the expenses. And to this effect, it's important also for all business owners to ensure that they know the numbers. What numbers am I talking about? Well, these are the financial figures of your business. Why do we need to be abreast with this? Well, because from experience, I've seen that most businesses actually relegate the financial issues either to a consultant who comes and just advises on time by time. But even that's all right. But the key thing is that as a business owner, you need to know these, for example, 4 checklists that I've put there, which you can see on the presentation. What is your profit and loss? Why? Because you need to know the revenues and the costs and the expenses that you're incurring in the business. Bear in mind that actually the profit and loss shows you whether your business has the ability or inability to generate profit. And we are all in business to generate profit, actually. And then you need also to know what is your break-even point. Because when you know your break-even point, then you know how your business will be is actually performing. And especially so when you add on the economic sense of the opportunity cost. Because if you are breaking even with a sense of the opportunity cost, it means you're actually making what is termed in economics as normal profit. Because you will have looked at, if you had invested these funds in another venture that was going to earn you some income, where will you be? Tracking against your budgets is also important. Looking at the actual against where you are targeted yourselves to be, especially in these hard economic times. It is also important for us to increase revenue and decrease costs, or have both at the same time. These are very important fundamentals that we need to look at. Now, why is the cash flow very important? Or why is it important for all the owners of the business to have a strong handle on the finances down to the lasting way? Well, the easier example that can be given is like one who is driving a car. Imagine driving a car that does not have a dashboard, and in which case you don't know how slow or how fast you are moving. It becomes really a very difficult thing. And therefore, it applies also to a business. How can you know what the best strategy is that you need to implement without clearly having a clear picture on the financial state of your business? So it is important that you have this in mind. The other point that is of importance in order for us to survive hard economic times is to get clear on our destination. Remember when you started the business, you had a business plan, and the business plan actually showed you where you wanted to go in, say, 5 years. And bear in mind that to reach that destination, a business plan is actually a cornerstone for you to work through difficult periods. And in this case, I wanted us to compare or to contrast the business plan and the business model. We know without any doubt that a business plan actually lays out the company's strategy and the expected financial performance over time, as spelled out by the owner of the business at the beginning. But look at the business model. The business model is actually the mechanism with which the company generates profits. And like we said at the beginning, you are in business to make profit. If you are not making profit, then you are not supposed to be in a business. So from that, you can tell that actually a business model then is at the center of a business plan. The illustration that we can give of a business model being at the center of a business plan is like a business plan is a car with all its features, and you can drive in it. But a business model is actually the engine of that car. Without the engine, you know the car will not move. And therefore, the business model becomes a very important thing to have if we are to move ahead. And therefore, let's discuss the business model. You see that the business model has the various components in it. And that's what makes it very important. As mentioned, without a business model, your business will not go ahead. But all these aspects in the business model can be tinkered with, can be fidgeted with in order for you to perform well in a business. Look at the competences, the products, the partnerships and the networks that you have, the marketing, the service, management and targeted customers, the costs and the distribution channels that you have. And therefore, in order for us to see where we are, I know we could spend the whole day if we were to discuss on how all of them affect your business. But let's just pick at 4 key aspects. One, the competence. And the second, we'll look at the distribution or delivery channels. And the third, we'll look at the targeted customers. And finally, we'll look at marketing. Let's start with the competence. Why is competence important? Well, to focus on core competences is actually to focus on what brings money to the business. Many businessmen who talk about diversifying or diversification, and in most cases, they just simplify it to mean having different products. But you understand that to diversify actually involves more than one adding on a product mix. To diversify a company requires actually to sell a product, maybe in the same market, but with a changed technology. And in some cases, it requires a business to reinvent a new product altogether with a new technology and a brand new value proposition that you give to your customers. So simply adding the product or service to your offering isn't as much what we may term as diversification. Why is the focusing on your core competences very important? Well, focusing on your core competences, you are actually focusing on a product which is more sellable to you. So if you look at the last point there, it says drop the extras and focus on what you do best. That's most profitable. I'll give you an example of a restaurant. For example, a restaurant is involved in preparing burgers, and 80% of their sales are actually coming out of the burgers. And then they decide to add on other aspects on the menu. You bear in mind that in hard economic situations, if they were to focus on the burgers, they would make more money than adding on other extras, which may just take part of their time. So it's important to develop a brand image that targets your reputation. For example, when you hear Java, you know what Java does. You know it's soya pieces and the like. So that itself is what sells more for you, especially in hard economic situations. And then I talked of the distribution channel or the delivery strategy that you should have. Look at how you are bringing your product or services to the market. It is important to be very effective with that. And also research on the competition to understand what they are doing well and learn from them. Then find a way through which you can deliver the product to the market in a very easy and simple way. It is very important because the way you deliver the product to the market can either disadvantage you and you lose on your competitive advantage that the others have. The other point relating to the market, I'm going fast because we don't have as much time, so I want to leave out some time where you can ask questions which will build up on some of the issues that we have raised. Make the most of the current customers. What do we mean to make the most of the current customers? Yes, you know of that adage, isn't it? A bird in hand is better than two in the bush. And therefore, the customers that you have now, you can get more value out of them. And it's important for you to do that because they are already your customers. Without incurring, when you are taking advantage of these customers, you are not incurring any cost of finding new customers. Most businesses now have had to do what is termed as a CAC. That is to measure the customer acquisition cost. Why is measuring the customer acquisition cost important? Because it reinforces the idea of saying a customer that you have now is more important than one that you can search for. And hence, most have gone into looking at costs such as advertising, salaries for the marketers, as well as the costs that go into salespeople. And they divide this with the number of customers acquired in a certain period. And that's what a customer acquisition cost is. And when they compare, it makes a lot of sense then to save the customers that you have efficiently and to gain a lot of value out of them. The other measure that is very important is also to measure the customer life value. Why is that measure important? Well, this also helps you to see which customers are worthy your focus on. The customer lifetime value actually tries to measure the value that you get out of a specific customers. And for example, most financial institutions use this in order even to isolate those that they should give certain presents at the end of the year, or those that they should give certain discounts as they go on dealing with business. And this is done, the customer lifetime value is calculated by looking at the total, for example, sales that you get from, average total sales that you get from the customer, and how often this customer comes, you multiply by that, but also look at how long have you had this customer. The value you get when you do that is the customer lifetime value. And this also helps you to ensure that you maximize on the value that you have on the customer. Then we talked of building marketing systems. Why is this important as well? Well, it's very important for us to market our products and ensure that the products that we have reach the intended customers and reduce on the waste that comes in terms of the costs that go into marketing. You need to have a marketing activity that differentiates you from the competition. That marketing activity, in most cases, will give you a leverage or will give you a competitive advantage from your customers. I just want to bring an example of how marketing really does this. A practical example is when you look at Trade Kings, a new brand of water called Vatra. That product actually was initiated during the COVID period in about July. But the way they went into marketing it made a difference. It has become more competitive compared to the brands that have been there for ages. And that's what marketing does also. But you can do marketing in different ways, not really high cost marketing like Trade Kings would do, but you can still market your product to an extent that everyone else becomes aware of it. And that itself will make a difference. Winning the customers, your competitors' customers, is also very key. Because bear in mind, we looked at the CAC, the customer acquisition cost, but that CAC, customer acquisition cost, is important in order for you to win the customers. And it's important also for you to just find out from the customers that are going to your competitor on what they are looking for. And in that way, find a way that you can give the product or the service that they are looking for in a better way compared to what your competitor is doing. Visit their business locations and ask questions. Do a mystery call and learn more from them and work on it to perfect it so that you win over those customers. And finally, as I said, we talked about to ensure you have a winning leverage strategy. Why is that important? Well, for example, if you look at building systems and technology, you know having the right systems in place will help you build your business, and so is the technology. The people that you have in your business are very important, and hence educating them to the products or the services that they offer to the market is important, because then you differentiate yourself in the way you dispense your service or your product to the market. Delivery and distribution channels, very important as well. You need to streamline this component so that your client can buy from you fast and efficiently. Some businesses, because of COVID, they've just had, others are streamlining and they're letting some of their staff go, and they're having a lean staff. But you cannot have a lean staff if your product or this product that you sell requires that you have many staff in order for you to be more efficient as you deliver the product to the market. There's something that we all should take out of this discussion, is that we need to test and keep measuring how we are performing. Because when you test and keep measuring on how you are performing, this will help you grow your bottom line. And hence, when we go back to where we started from, you realize that all these various variables that are in the business model need to be tested and measured. And if something is not working well, we need to work on it so that it gives you the best performance. And that way you increase on the bottom line. I think for now, I'll stop here and just pick out some of the thought that you have and the certain clarification that you would want me to make. I know the topic is very big. Somebody had told me that I hope you have a magic wand. Yes, a magic wand is exactly to do what you have always done, but with a laser sharp focus. Maybe I could pick any questions if you have any. And maybe just also to mention something, when I was just about to come, one of the candidates asked me, say, but how has the stimulus package that has come from the central bank helped most businesses? And I mentioned clearly, say, you see, the difference still holds. The stimulus package that came from the central bank mostly was there to refinance or restructure facilities that most of the businesses had. And as they restructure this, they were also given a grace period in which to repay back. But the fundamentals that we've talked about do not change. You still have to do business with a view of making a profit, if at all, to run a business in a more effective way. Yeah, so now, if there is any clarification, you can ask and then I can answer on that, if at all there is any. I'm not seeing any question, but I think the takeaway that you should carry out of this is to ensure that if at all you are doing any changes to your business, work on a business model, see areas of each component of the business model that is not working well, because those are the things that will differentiate the operation of your business as you run it, because that's the engine of it.
Any question on
There's a hand maybe from Beatrice there. Please, Beatrice, you can ask.
Thank you. I had sent a chat, probably it's not visible. I wanted to ask if you have any activities with SMEs in Malawi. In Malawi,
I think, is that question based on the Prospero? Because I work for Atlas Mara, but I think the Prospero team would answer on that point.
It's based, the question is directed to Prospero and also to yourself.
Okay.
Okay, Daka,
yes,
can I just please add on that? Earlier
yes,
on the presentation from Prospero, they said that recently they are still focusing on Zambia, so they still in Zambia, but they haven't done anything out of Zambia, so they're still trying to pimp it up in a way that it has opportunities within that sphere. They haven't done anything, because the same question was raised that are they doing anything in South Africa, and then they said no, they're still only focusing in Zambia.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know whether there is any more, or we could do. We are ahead of time. We still have 5 minutes. If there are any questions, Violet,
just a question.
Okay, Frederick, go ahead, and then later Violet.
Oh, okay, sure. I think when we're making a presentation on the business model, I think you mentioned of different, components which have to be put in place, like core values, distribution, cost, market management, services, and marketing.
Yeah.
Is it compulsory that every business should put those parameters in place, or it's optional to put all the components in place of the business model, or is it compulsory that every business should have those parameters in place?
What you find out that actually that business model, thanks for that, the business model that I showed you actually brings in various components, which is not a must, but in most cases you find out that they apply. For example, distribution. All businesses have to distribute either their service or the product. And there is an aspect of product. You need partnerships and networks in order to exploit certain markets. And the marketing, for example, management, services. So you'll find out that they are also a part of core values, because the core values are what drives you as an institution. So when you relook at it, I think you can find time to ask which one you feel does not apply to your business, as the Prospero team will share the presentation, and you can look at that model to find out really which one do I feel like it doesn't fit into my business. But you realize that this is a vehicle actually that drives your business. Okay, this information will be shared with all those that are present. So Prospero will ensure that you get a copy of it.
Oh, great.
And then my details will be there. In
Thank
the event
you.
that you want clarity, will be given.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe I can entertain one last question. Victor, you wanted to ask something?
Thank you very much, Mr. Daka. I think that was quite informative. The only thing that we seem to have is misinformation sometimes, because what we get sometimes when we have an economic tough time like we are going through is the overall misinformation that things are not well because there's COVID and so on. But I think your presentation presents an insight in terms of really knowing that even in hard times, there are certain things that you need to adjust to really keep yourself in business and survive. So for me, my takeaway really is that this has been quite informative on my part, because we see certain operations in the tourism industry. There are certain operations for operators which might not actually present value in the times where we are going through a hard time like this one. So those are quite some of the things that we need to even teach those seemingly big businesses. So I'm quite grateful about this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor. And in the event that you have anything that you feel like, I think my contact will be shared, and we can talk in depth. You are based in Livingstone?
I'm based here in Osaka.
Okay, yeah. Whatever time we can have a chat and get more insight into it. I think we are done in terms of our time, so we can go back to the main room. Thank you all. I appreciate it.